Are you ready to find out how to choose the right career path or job opportunity for you? If you're someone who is right now, you're starting on your career path, or you're someone who has been experienced for a while, or you're thinking of switching jobs, I have basically written down the best pieces of advice that I've given to people as a career coach, as well as the best pieces of advice that I have heard also from other people when it comes to choosing your career pathway, journey, whatever it is that you want to call it. The first one is start with your BHAG, or your big, hairy, audacious goals. Now, the reason why we always start with your goal is we want to know where we're kind of roughly going before we can start going to it. Because if you're just kind of rolling the dice, as one usually does, and it is okay, it's a little bit harder for us to narrow down where you want to go. Now, you can just say like, hey, in 6 months, I just want to have a job. That's it. That's all my big, hairy, audacious goal right now. Then that's good. We start with that. Or if you are someone who's like me, I want to have multiple businesses in New York. That's my big, hairy, audacious goal. That is where I am pushing or leading my life towards. So whatever your big, hairy, audacious goal is, let's just start with one, whatever it is. If it is just literally to get a job, then that is the goal. When you're choosing a career, you're choosing your work-life path, you want to start having your goals set so it's easier for you to then go to the next step, which is assessing your skills. So for example, for me, when I was about 15 years old, my goal at that time was to become a journalist. So when I was choosing a career, I was looking at becoming a writer because I had writing skills. So then for me, that was kind of easy for me to get right away. Now, for some people, it might be harder for you to know what kind of skills you might have, what you kind of can do. Now, you can look at different parts of your life for this. One is, what is something that people ask you for help the most? So let's say, what does your parents ask you help on? So for example, for me, my mom used to always ask me for help when it comes to like graphic stuff for the office, like creating banners and video editing. And then it came to a point where I was actually helping handle some events, either for an office or for reunions for my uncles and aunts. So learning how to do graphics and video editing kind of came naturally to me because the older people were asking me to do it. And it could be also your classmates. So for me, I had a little side gig going where I was sometimes charged to write essays for homework, and I would just do that for classmates basically. So that was another thing that in my head, these are things that people constantly ask me for help for. You can also look at your school activities and what are the things that you enjoy doing, or if you already have had some experience, you can break down the things you've had experience in with your skills that you currently have. And you kind of want to see what were the skills that I enjoyed doing, and what are things that were easy to me but didn't really like it, and of course what are things that I really don't like at all. It's good to look at these three kind of buckets and categories, because then you can kind of see like, hey, I want to get better at this because it's a skill that I enjoy. Of like, hey, this might have come easy to me, but I don't want to do it. I might want to manage people with this skill. And of course, skills you don't want to really do at all. You kind of just like, okay, I will kind of learn the basics for it, but then just enough to understand it, but then I don't have to be the one doing it. Next is you want to start assessing the roles that you want to have a career in. So it is looking at people's day in my life as an XYZ. It is looking at content from these people as well to see what they're posting, what they're talking about. And the reason for this is a lot of the time we build up roles in our head of like, oh, a marketing director or a CEO. But to be honest, there's different realities and layers to that role. So you want to start studying what does the day-to-day of that look like, what tools are they using, what skills do they have. You can look at job ads on job posting sites to be able to assess further the kind of role that this is that you're trying to get into. You basically want to have a good feel about the role that you're trying to apply for. That way it's a little bit easier for you to be able to actually jump into that as you start applying for jobs, or if you are currently right now trying to choose between two different roles, you have a good idea of which one might fit your skills and your big, hairy, audacious goal better. Next is a concept that I learned from Ali Abdaal, which is basically, he said it, tasks versus the role. I call it the outcome versus the role. And how he explained this is when you are still trying to find what kind of career you want to do, what kind of path you want to take, is you want to look at the daily tasks for this versus just trying to just get a title or trying to get a role. And honestly, I went through this myself in my early 20s where I was really like, I want the CEO role. I want to do this for my life, blah, 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 rah, rah, rah. And in reality, I had to look at the actual day-to-day tasks and work of being a CEO, and I've been doing it since then. I've always almost been a decade since I did get that CEO role, but in the meantime, I've also learned, of course, how to run my own business, how to manage people, how to lead people, how to set goals and be able to actually hit them. So it's been a long road. So you always want to look at what are the tasks basically that are attached to the skill that you want to get better at, that you can focus more on versus just chasing after a title or a role that you think you need to get to be able to seem successful. And this is a mistake that I made. It's like I just chased the title and the role, not thinking all of the responsibilities and all of the outcomes and tasks that came with it. So focus on the tasks and outcomes that come with the skill, with the career that you want to go into, rather than just right away chasing the role or chasing the title that you are hoping will make you seem more successful than you are. Next is growth versus pay. Now, this concept is not really new. It's something that we've kind of come across over and over in life is, do I choose a career that would grow me or a career that would pay me well? And sometimes you will get lucky and where you get both, but it is a lot of then sacrifices on time. But I want to focus on those two concepts of, do you choose a role or a job that gives you a lot of growth or a job that gives you a lot of pay? And honestly, the biggest difference between the two is you can choose growth when it comes to the part of your life where you don't really have a lot of responsibilities just yet. Now, this is specifically for those in their early 20s or mid 20s where they don't have kids yet, they're not married yet, they're still trying to explore and find out where they want to go, where growth might be the priority because you're still trying to really figure out what kind of path, what kind of journey you want to be on yourself. You're not even sure if you want to be work from home, work remotely, or work from an office. So looking for a career that is focused more on growth might be your priority. Now, even later in life, let's say that you are in your 40s or your 50s and you're still trying to figure out growth versus pay. Again, it depends on then your big, hairy, audacious goal of, depending on the experience that you did have already in that life. Maybe you're trying to grow into a new role, you're growing into a new skill, or you're finally pursuing the thing you want to do. You might also want to be focused on growth. Now, on pay, nothing wrong with going for the higher pay, nothing wrong with wanting to have a better life, especially for yourself. And if you already have a family or you are the breadwinner for your family, nothing wrong with that at all, because again, it's going to be different stages of life depending on your big, hairy, audacious goal. So if that is one of the things you're kind of torn of, like, hey, this one is good pay and a lot of growth, but this one has a really good pay but not a lot of growth, it really depends on that, again, big, hairy, audacious goal, and as well as where you are at in life. And as you are going through this journey of trying to find the path or the right opportunity or the right job for you, you always want to focus to and go back to building habits for yourself. What I mean by this is to constantly work on where you want to go. You can't just depend it on the company or your boss. You have to work within yourself. So if you want to be a copywriter, for example, always write copy every single day. If you want to be better graphic artist or video editor or programmer or whatever path or journey you have chosen, have one small thing, even just 15 minutes of your day where you're trying to get better at that. That will be incremental and something that will grow within the end of the year, within the 365 days that you have, that you keep kind of in small bits and pieces. You're getting better and better at your skill. It's going to, of course, take you further than most people who don't have it as a habit. And when it comes to your career switching, this is definitely something that is a little bit easier to do when you're early on in your career, when you're still trying to figure out where you want to fit. But if you're still debating of like, hey, that looks so much cooler, like, oh, I'm right now a writer, I want to become a graphic artist, or I want to become a video editor, doesn't have to mean that you're going to fully just jump into the next role or jump into the next job. You can try to learn that, again, incremental bits and pieces, bite-sized, of like, hey, let me do this task for a while, or let me take on this outcome that I want to get done because I want to get better at this skill, because I want to go into this role. A lot of times I've seen too many people try career switching within 6 months, within a year, not fully understanding that when you do make that switch is you are going to be going back to being a learner again, that you might be a little just be more managed versus where your role was when you've been doing it for a longer period of time, just because again you're back into that learner mode. Now you can build on, of course, your current experiences, your current skills, but that's the thing to keep in mind when it comes to career switching. And finally, and this is something that I always give people as a piece of advice, is just have regular check-ins. And what I mean by that is you could could have a daily journal that you go through, like, hey, this is what I learned today, this is what I want to learn moving forward. You can have it weekly, you can have it monthly, but I encourage that you check in with yourself, with your goals, with your skills, your experiences, and everything else, so then you can fully consciously, with intention, bring things forward within your career, within your opportunities, with like, hey, I want to do this, hence why I'm doing this. You're not just automatically rolling from one thing to the other. You're putting in intention with how you're building your life, even if you're just figuring out everything else in between. Now, if you guys like this video, of course, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below, what kind of job path are you right now pursuing? I would love to know. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out the super playlist right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.